Peace. Ali, coming back at you on behalf of SLMyers.com and also our online metaphysical store, L9shop.com. Alright, in this video, I want to talk about 7 ways to tap into spirit. 7 ways to tap into spirit. Now, when I say tap into spirit, all I'm talking about is tapping into your higher self, tapping into the universe, or tapping into the creator. Basically, tapping into something beyond your humanity. So these ways are pretty easy, but depending on where you are in your state of evolution, some may be harder for you than others. So I go through them pretty quickly and give you enough so you can start and do some more research if you would. So the first way I want to talk about is meditation. Meditation is probably the most basic and simplest way to tap into spirit. Now, there's different ways to meditate. Obviously, there's millions of ways to meditate, but I'll leave you with, I'll put this out there. Meditation can either be still or moving meditation. Obviously, most people are familiar with being still, closing your eyes, deep breathing, or something like that. But also, moving meditation is another form of doing it. Moving meditations like Tai Chi, Qigong, yoga, something like that, where you're actually moving. Now, it's going to help you tap into spirit because meditation helps you connect with your thought. If you notice, anybody that meditates a lot, you're going to have thought that goes beyond just regular physical thoughts. So these are thoughts of the universe, thoughts of the creator, thoughts of spirit, period. So meditation is a very good, simple, easy way to tap into spirit. And like I said, there's many ways of doing it. So find one that resonates with you, get on a regimen, get it in every day. Second way I want to talk about how to tap into spirit is through prayer. Now, when I say the words prayer, I'm just talking about words spoken or speaking to the universe, the creator, your higher self. Now, there's traditional prayers where you can look at ancient prayers like the Bekoach is a prayer that I've been promoting now for years. It's also called a miracle prayer. This is a prayer that I learned from Dr. Gibson from Tybro.com. Ever since I learned that prayer, my life has changed. So I always recommend, if you're wanting to memorize a prayer that's not in English, look at that prayer. And the thing with the miracle prayer is it's a way of encoding one of the 7 two-letter names of God. So once you learn that prayer, memorize it, it's imprinted on your soul, and every time you say it, it's like you connected to the divine or the creator. So I highly recommend that prayer, but just any prayer or just you speaking to the universe or the creator in your own words is a very effective way into tapping into spirit. Third way I want to talk about tapping into spirit is through the use of mantras, chanting mantras. Now, most of the popular deities that we have, they have a mantra that's associated with them. So go to Google now, and whatever your favorite deity is, your god or goddess, put their name in and put the word mantra with it, M-A-N-T-R-A. More than likely, you'll find some sort of mantra, prayer, or written words that are associated with that particular deity. Now, when you do a traditional mantra, it's usually custom that you say it 108 times. So you'll chant the mantra 108 times. Now, if you want to use something to keep track of the counting, you can get what's called mala beads, M-A-L-A. Mala beads are 108 beads on a string. It looks like a necklace, but the thing is, every time you chant the mantra, you go to the next bead. Once you go through all 108 beads, you have completed a cycle of that mantra. We also sell malas at L9shop.com if you're interested. So if you want to do mantras, do it 108 times. You can use a mala to aid you in counting. Fourth way I like to talk about how to tap into spirit is through divination. And divination is when you're getting insight from unseen forces or through spirit. Some of the most common and popular ways of using divination are numerology, astrology, tarot, oracle cards, and also pendulum. these tools will all give you some sort of information that is not from your ego. So when you practice divination, it's like you getting insight either from your higher self or the universe. Depend on what divination you're rocking with. It may have you connect with a particular spirit, or it may have you connect with your higher self, or it's going to deal with the planets or numbers or something like that. But when you practice divination, you're going to get answers into your life, your path, your gifts, your past, your history, whatever. Essentially, you can get answers for anything that pertains to you, or if you're working with a client, get information for them. So when you work with divination, it's going to help you tap into spirit because you're getting data that's not coming from your human brain. Now, the key with divination is putting your ego and biases to the side. One of the mistakes I see people doing, especially like with numerology, is they'll say like a particular number is bad, or they just personally don't like a number. So everybody that falls under that number, they'll kind of give like bad information or whatever. That's not the form of divination I'm talking about. The divination I'm talking about is when a person is balanced and they receive and give the information as they perceive it, and they remove their ego, remove their bias and their prejudices, and they just get the information as raw data. So when you practice divination, it's going to help you tap into spirit because you're getting information that is non-local per se. So divination is another way of tapping into spirit. Fifth way I like to talk about tapping into spirit is by the use of altars, and this is mainly a deity altar. Now, I've been giving out information dealing with altars now for years, so if you're not familiar with my work, make sure to Google my name or go to my YouTube channel, find the altar work playlist, and you'll have days upon days of information for free that relates to the altar. But altar is a space that you dedicate to a particular deity or a set of deities. What I recommend is having at least one god and one goddess on your altar. By doing that, giving regular offerings and prayers, it's going to help you connect and tap into the energy of that particular deity. So say you have like Oshun and Ganesha on your altar. By giving an offering, after so long, you'll start having that energy be present in you. So you might seeing beautiful things. You might start having certain obstacles removed from you. You may gain more wisdom. You may increase your magic or whatever. Whatever that deity deals with, it will increase that in your life, and that's like tapping into spirit or tapping into the universe. We have to understand that we have one supreme prime creator. Most people call that supreme prime creator God. But say that you have God with a big G, then from that big one source, you have many offsprings. These offsprings are what we call deities or gods. Once you tap into that fabric of reality, if you would, is going to help you expand your consciousness and expand your spirituality. So working with altars is a very effective way in tapping into spirit, and that's one of my favorite ways as well. The sixth way I like to talk about tapping into spirit is by solargazing. Solargazing is probably the most profound practice that a human can undertake, and I don't say that lightly. Now, the reason why solargazing will help you tap into spirit is because there's information in the sun. When you look at it, it's going to automatically download this bits of data to you, and by doing that, it's going to expand your consciousness. Once you expand your consciousness, that is expanding your awareness. When you do that, you're going to become more aware of things that are not just physical and local. You're going to become aware of more things that are what we call spiritual, or even metaphysical, or even occult, if you would. So when you solar gaze, it's going to make your brain and your mind grow. That's the best way I can put it. Now, obviously, there's health and safety things that you want to consider. I made videos talking about solar gazing. You can go back into my channel. I wrote an article on silemyers.com talking about solar gazing. But for the sake of this video, what you want to do is loosely stare at the sun, either during sunrise or sunset. Either 30 minutes before sunrise, 30 minutes after sunrise, 30 minutes before sunset, 30 minutes after sunset. There's about an hour window on both ends where you can safely look at the sun. Now, if you do it and your eyes hurt, then you may want to make sure that the sun isn't as bright. But if the sun has that orange color to it, usually that is safe for you to do it. But if obviously the sun yellow, white, or high noon, I don't recommend that you solar gaze. But you can start solar gazing for as little as 90 seconds or a minute and work your way up to 5 minutes or so. When you do this, you're going to see your consciousness expand. There's so much to talk about with solar gazing, and it's one of the things I need to speak about more. But I knew that needed to be one of the ways to tap into spirit, because a lot of people don't talk about it, because I think there's a misnomer that you're not supposed to look at the sun. I have practiced solar gazing. I do solar gaze. I know many people that practice it, and for the most part, everybody is growing and expanding by doing this practice. So if you're interested, and I recommend that you do your research, get the information down so you do it when it's safe. But solar gaze is a very powerful way in tapping into spirit. The seventh and final way I like to talk about tapping into spirit is through the arts. When I say the arts, I'm talking about dance, music, singing, or just drawing or doing sculpture or artwork. Now, arts helps you tap in because, especially if you're doing original artwork, art helps you tap in because where are you getting the information from? Who's inspiring you to paint that or do that music? Who? It's the universe, your higher self, or the creator. Whenever you're doing something where you're channeling information, you're tapping into spirit. As an 80s baby growing up in hip hop, one of the popular things we used to like to do is freestyle. I don't know if cats still do that, but we used to freestyle in a park, get ciphers up. And if anybody has been in a cipher where cats are freestyling, you're coming up with information on the fly. You haven't thought about this, you ain't wrote down any bars or anything like that. You're just spitting and things are coming to you. Where is it coming from? And if you know anybody that's really a prolific freestyler, like some of their freestyles are better than their written material. So where is this information coming from? It's because they're tapping into a fabric of reality that is unseen, aka spirit. So anything dealing with the arts, you're being inspired to do something. The word inspire, you can look at it as saying in spirit. So whenever you're doing any form of art, especially original, you're tapping into spirit. So do not doubt that that's what you're doing. And I wanted to put this in here because you may already do some form of dancing or something where you're tapping into spirit unbeknownst to you. And speaking of dancing, if you look at the ancient cultures, most African cultures, when they went into trance, they did it from dancing. So they get into that rhythmic motion, then eventually they're tapped in, they're trance, and then they do their magic ritual after that. So dancing, any form of art, is a very good way of tapping into spirit. So this has been Ali. If you want to find out more information about myself and what we do, be sure to visit my website, salymyers.com. If you're in need of metaphysical tools, supplies, altar, rituals, all that good stuff, be sure to visit our online metaphysical store, l9shop.com. That's el9shop.com. So until next time, this has been Ali. Peace.